Hello, hello. New opening and everything. Just in time for the holidays. Well, I'm going to take a few minutes here just to kind of let you know what's happening with the channel. I've had a lot of things on my plate and haven't had much time to make videos or really do anything like this for a while. So, I hope you can forgive me, but I'm going to get back into it now. Uh, I won't be uploading as much just to give myself kind of a mental head start into this going forward. However, this will allow me to make better videos and to cover content that I would rather make than trying to pump out an episode a week and all the crap that goes with that. Because I'm still just one guy doing this. So I'm doing the editing, I'm doing the research and video editing, all of that. And it's a lot for one person to do. So this is a segment that I'm going to do called Story Time. I'll be talking about things that have happened in my D&D games, Magic games, and some interesting things that I've come across at cons. If you have a funny or interesting story, post it in the comments below, and I might feature you in a future episode. So without further ado, here is the story. Some background. This was set in a custom world. In this world, adventuring was a good career path. You could make lots of gold, and there was a large town dedicated to housing and helping adventurers. Many of the local lords came to the town to give quests and pay out their rewards. Our adventuring group started here and had been working several quests. They had made a good name for themselves and were given land and other assets that they could use. They started as 3. A human fighter named Chad, an elven cleric named Sayer, and a halfling fighter who's named Lettel. They were joined soon by a half-elf barbarian named Fang, and I was their DM. They were purging a drow influence in the area that were close to invading the surface. And this led them to get lots of requests afterwards for quests and other jobs. However, one in particular came across that they couldn't really ignore. It was a quest from the halfling's estranged father, Orwin. He was a dwarven miner that had a reputation for being a drunkard, that came into money after Lettel's biological mother had disappeared. At the request of Lettel, the group packed up and head for the dwarven capital to look for his stepfather. They arrived while the rest of the group started to go around and gather supplies and rent a room at the inn. Lettel headed straight for the mines. The shift was still inside, working hard to mine gold, ores, and gems. And Lettel didn't mind waiting until his stepfather was done. The halfling waited for him, And when Orwin emerged from his shift, he confronted him. Orwin didn't only have one thing going for him. He would stay sober for his work. He instantly recognized his stepson and walked over to him to greet him. It was awkward for them both, as they didn't know what to say to each other. They walked in silence to Orwin's home, running into the group along the way, rejoining Lettel. Orwin had sent a request, hoping that his stepson would come, that he could at least talk with him and tell him about the day his mother disappeared, the way he remembered it. He explained, "There was a registry going around in that day where all the halflings had to attend. Lettel was allowed to stay behind as they thought that he was a newborn dwarf and not a halfling. I didn't really feel like correcting them. The registry existed because the giants of the mountain attacked a few halfling villages in the area. We took them in and welcomed them. That's how I met your mother. Covered in dirt from the mines, as the boys and I sat at the deep drink. She was serving the mead, and I fell in love. You, my boy, were just an added bonus. I had a family and truly felt like a dwarf of significance. I never saw her after the day of registry. The day it just became you and me." Lettel was silent. He never knew that his stepfather actually cared for him. His life growing up had been rough and hard, almost as if Orwin hated him. Lettel left the house after hearing this, and the rest of the group soon followed. They searched the town for the registry of the halflings, and discovered that they were taken to an outpost further in the mountains. Lettel, hoping that his mother might still be there, begged the party to leave as soon as they could. They had been traveling for most of the day and were tired and weary, so they took a well-earned rest at the inn. Then, in the morning, they traveled the mountain paths until they came across the settlement after a couple of days, and they were attacked by Drugar that had taken over. There wasn't any signs of struggle here. No corpses, no blood. So how did the Drugar take this place? They investigated further and ran into two Grimlocks. The fight went on, and soon the Grimlocks had reinforcements. The party was able to take them down, finding evidence that this place was a lair for some mind flayers. They found documents here for the purchase of peoples from the dwarven capital in exchange for peace. Things were now falling into place for Lettel. But no, they couldn't have. Was the purchase from the dwarven capital and the halfling registry the same thing? Lettel was angry, but still had doubts. He couldn't just believe that the dwarves would sell off people for some peace. There was a path leading deeper, leading into the Underdark. The path before them was laid with traps and other mind flayer slaves to protect their masters. After fighting through, they came upon the mind flayer himself. A fight immediately broke out, the mind flayer and its personal shield guardian. And after Chad had nearly had his brain eaten, they slay them both. With the threat of the Mind Flayer gone, the party takes a well-deserved short rest before continuing on. They hear a commotion further in the tunnels, Lettel realizing the sound is spells being slung. They arrive to see another dead Mind Flayer and a small mage with a Mind Flayer skull covering its face. It turned and looked at the party and yelled, "No, more have come!" attacking the party that was caught off guard. She said, "They came to eat me, but I'll eat them." She kept shouting as she flung spells and curses at the party. They had no choice but to defend themselves, until Fang struck the killing blow, severing her head from her body. Lettel felt like he had swallowed a lead brick, hoping beyond hope that this wasn't the person he thought it was. The party looked through this female halfling's belongings and found a letter. "My dear, sweet, precious boy, how wonderful you were in my arms when your father and I looked upon your face. I felt overjoyed after the giants that had taken my previous home, that I found such a man like your father, Orwin. We were deeply in love. This registry is a must for our people. I wanted to write you so that you would know about my journey, so you could understand why I left you for a few days while you were younger. We are a day away from the settlement now. The mountain view is beautiful. I'm going to bring you here one day when you are stronger, just for the view. We are setting up camp. I'll write early tomorrow. I can't wait to be at the end of this journey and back to you. We were woken harshly this morning. Just have enough time to write down some words. A Mind Flayer is here. What is this? Damn you, Orin. 250 gold. I hope you choke on each piece. It's been a year. I forgot I had this. This is my solace, writing to a son I don't know if I'll ever see again. 30? How many more of us will there be dead? They eat their brains, then toss the corpse aside. We live in their graves. No more, no more, no more, no more. Magic? Only 20 remain. Die, you illithid! Nothing left to eat, except they have no power. I eat, I win. They won't eat me. I eat them. I eat them. The rest of the page is filled with I eat them. Some of the page at the bottom ripped off from the force she applied to the quill. Lettel crumpled the letter and tossed it to the ground. Heading to leave, the others looked at him and asked, "Going?" He replied, "I'm going to have a chat with father." Lettel, consumed by rage, went home, found his father, waited for a couple of minutes before taking his head. Well, this has been the first story time. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what I can do better if you have any suggestions for future videos. let me know in the comments below. Other than that, have a good day.